Now, y'all know that Jameis Winston, if you are a diehard fan of this podcast, is my favorite player in NFL history, man. And I'm so happy that this dude is getting another opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the league again. Although it is with the Cleveland Browns, y'all know I'm a Steelers fan, but listen, as long as Jameis is the starter for the Browns, I am an honorary Browns fan, man, because I love watching Jameis Winston play, and he did his big one this past Sunday, leading the Browns to a comeback win against the Baltimore Ravens, who were on a 5-game win streak at the time. Baltimore goes up 24-23 late, and you think that the Browns are about to lose another game. But my boy Jameis Winston said, hell no, give me the football. I'm about to lead us on a game-winning drive, and that's exactly what he did. Now, Kyle Hamilton, you know, he did bail Jameis Winston out. He did drop a really big interception that would have sealed the win for Baltimore. And he wasn't the only person who was dropping interceptions in this game. You know, pretty much every defensive back that the Ravens had out there was dropping interceptions. There were about like 4 or 5 dropped INTs. But the thing with Jameis Winston is that when you give this dude second chances, he's going to scorch you. And he made the Ravens pay with that late touchdown that he threw to Cedric Tillman. And Cedric Tillman, I was really high on this dude coming out of the draft a few years ago. I remember going back and forth with a lot of clowns on X or Twitter at the time who were trying to say that Jalen Hyatt was a better wide receiver than Cedric Tillman. Like, if you go back and you watch Cedric Tillman's college film, this dude looks like the second coming of Mike Evans. Really physical, has good burst off the line, really good winning those 50-50 ball situations. And when Amari Cooper got traded, it was one of my homies in my fantasy league that tried to trade me Amari Cooper. I was like, bro, I don't need Amari Cooper. I got Cedric Tillman. He was like, Cedric Tillman? I don't even know who this dude is. And I was like, okay, yeah, you don't know who he is now, but you're going to find out who this dude is. Amari Cooper getting traded was the best thing to happen to the Browns. I see why they were trying to trade this dude earlier during the offseason, because it's like, bro, why are we going to give you an extension when you're old, you're 30 years old, and we got this monster on the bench right behind you that is Cedric Tillman? I mean, that dude is an absolute beast. And one thing about Jameis Winston, yeah, this dude is going to have hella turnovers, but at least you're going to be able to score 20 points consistently on offense. That's something that you were not able to do with Deshaun Watson. The good thing about Jameis Winston is for the amount of interceptions that he's going to throw, he's always going to counteract those mistakes with touchdowns. You're going to have games when this dude throws 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns for 500 yards. That's just part of the Jameis Winston experience. But Jameis Winston is the best quarterback that the Browns have had since Baker Mayfield led them to the divisional round a few years ago. And I know, you know, the carousel that they've had at QB isn't really nothing to really praise or anything like that. But Jameis Winston is a starting caliber quarterback in this league. And you can't convince me otherwise. This dude was able to end the Browns' losing streak. And with how well he played against the Baltimore Ravens, I believe that there is a strong chance that the Browns can find themselves right back in playoff conversation, man, because the team isn't dog shit. You know, yeah, their offensive line has taken a major step back due to them losing their offensive line coach from last year, Bill Callahan, but I mean, that defense is still really good. Jim Schwartz is still one of the better defensive coordinators in the league, and the reason why the Browns defense has underperformed this year has been because the offense has been so doggone atrocious. How good can you expect your defense to be when your offense is going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out every damn drive, and they can't sustain a lick of offense? It's like your defense gets off the field, they get them a little sip of Gatorade, and right after they put that damn cup down, they're right back on the field again. I mean, of course the defense is going to struggle. But now that your offense looks somewhat sustainable with Jameis Winston at the helm, I expect this season to turn around for Cleveland. Because Kevin Stefanski is the best coach that the Browns have had since I've been born. Like, my whole lifetime, the Browns have been terrible. They've always made bad coaching hires. And if you were to ask me what the Browns should do with Kevin Stefanski after this season, I say give this brother a lifelong contract extension, man. The Browns suck at hiring good coaches. So when you can find a guy like Kevin Stefanski, even though he's not elite, like this dude went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. This dude gave up the play calling, and right after that makes Jameis Winston the starting quarterback, and you're winning games again. Come on, man. Give the brother a break. If you're a Browns fan and you want Kevin Stefanski fired, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. Because have you been watching your team over the last decade? This brother Kevin Stefanski is better than any coach that you have hired in 2 decades, man. I was born in 2002. And for all my lifetime, this dude, Kevin Stefanski, has been better than any coach they've ever hired. I remember when you had Hugh Jackson as your head coach, and the brother had to like run in the lake or run in the ocean because you went like 0-16 or 1-15 or something like that. I don't know. All I know is that Kevin Stefanski needs a lifelong contract extension with the Browns, man. And I wouldn't rule out the Browns turning their season around. I really believe in Jameis Winston. I swear by this dude. I love this dude so much. Great leader. He's somebody that his teammates are going to rally behind. And he's been waiting for another opportunity. And some of y'all seem to forget how good he was in Sean Payton's final season with the New Orleans Saints. Like, this dude ain't no scrub. If the Buccaneers couldn't have gotten Tom Brady in free agency, Jameis Winston still would have been their starting quarterback, man. It's just he struggles to take care of the football, but you can still win games with him with how good the Browns defense is. And plus, with Jameis Winston, at least you can score 20 points, 26 points, despite the turnovers, man. I love me some famous Jameis, and I'm so happy that this dude is getting another opportunity with the Browns, and he's making the most of it. The Browns got a really good team. It's funny how Jerry Jeudy, the best quarterback that he's played with up to his career, surprisingly, has been Jameis Winston. This dude has had cooked Russell Wilson in Denver. The dude had, I forgot who he had his rookie season. And then last year, the dude had Deshaun Diddy Watson. So him getting Jameis Winston, we could see something that we haven't seen out of Jerry Jeudy up to this point of his career, because this brother has been one of the biggest disappointments in NFL draft history. Do y'all remember how good Jerry Jeudy was when he was playing for Alabama? This dude was doing dead legs. He was cutting across the field. Like, this dude was insanity at Alabama. This dude has one of the greatest college football highlight tapes of all time. And everything that made him special in college, we haven't really seen that much in the NFL. We know that he's a really good route runner. He can get open, but the brother has butterfingers, and he just hasn't looked like the player I thought he would when he was coming out of Bama. But Jameis Winston is going to make this brother look very good. Receivers love playing with Jameis Winston. You want to know why Mike Evans has had a 1,000-yard year every season in Tampa Bay up to this point? Mainly was because Jameis Winston was force-feeding this brother the football. Like, one thing with Jameis Winston at quarterback is that your receivers are going to be happy, bro, because this dude has that effing mentality, man. He's just going to sling the football, and he's not one of those quarterbacks that gets down on himself when he makes a couple of mistakes, man. He's one of those quarterbacks that when he throws interceptions, if you're a head coach, you're telling him, man, go out there and play your game, man, because you know for as many interceptions as what he's going to throw, he's also going to throw the same amount of touchdowns. You feel me? And you got a good enough defense that can bail you out when Jameis Winston makes a few of those mistakes. Like, I can't wait to see how the rest of this season turns out for the Browns, because I really believe that we need a Jameis Winston redemption story. Like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, they were able to resurrect their careers. You mean to tell me that Jameis Winston can't have a resurrection or a resurgence? I've always felt like Jameis Winston is a starting caliber quarterback. Like, imagine if he was playing on the Carolina Panthers right now. So happy that Jameis Winston was able to do his thing against the Baltimore Ravens, man. And I told people on X, like, when Jameis Winston had that ball, I was like, watch this Jameis Winston comeback, man. Watch. Everybody started laughing at me until it actually happened. Once I saw Kyle Hamilton drop that interception, which Jameis Winston pretty much gifted to him, I knew Jameis Winston was about to win the game, man. This brother is a really solid quarterback. He would be a great quarterback if he didn't have the turnover issues. Saints fans love this dude. They didn't want this dude to leave New Orleans. You know, Jameis Winston just has a special energy, a special aura about him that just makes him a guy you definitely want to have on your team. And with Deshaun Watson being injured, this is Jameis Winston's chance to prove that he can be the franchise quarterback for the Browns for the next couple of years, man. The dude still is pretty young. He has a lot of good football left in the tank. He doesn't really have a huge injury history. And the Browns got a pretty decent team around him with a good defense. So I can't wait to see Jameis Winston continue to go to work at quarterback for the Browns. I'm just so happy as a diehard Jameis Winston fan. A lot of people think I be trolling when I say Jameis Winston is my favorite NFL player of all time, when I'm really being dead honest with you guys. My first ever jersey that I ever got was from a teacher named Mr. Matthews when I was in middle school. And he was a Buccaneers fan. And at that time, I think it was like 2015, 2016, I think the Buccaneers won 9 games that year. I was telling him that the Buccaneers weren't going to make it to the playoffs. And he was like, let's make a bet. And I told him, hey, if the Bucs don't make it to the playoffs, you got to get me a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. He was like, I won't get you a Steelers jersey. You got to be a Buccaneers jersey. And I was like, okay, if you're going to give me a Bucs jersey, I'd rather have a Jameis Winston jersey. I've always been a huge fan of Jameis Winston from his college days to now. The dude won me a lot of money in fantasy football. This dude is, if you're looking for a fantasy football quarterback, get you Jameis Winston, bro. I promise this dude is a fantasy football god. Because the reason why, and people never understood this, like, I've never wasted a high draft pick on a quarterback in fantasy football until Jameis Winston was unable to get another starting job. And the reason why Jameis Winston is a great fantasy quarterback is because, look, yes, he throws a lot of interceptions, but interceptions only lose you 2 points in fantasy. But touchdowns are worth 6 points. Do the math, people. Jameis Winston could throw 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and still give you 20 points. And he's one of the most consistent fantasy quarterbacks that you're going to find, because this dude is just so aggressive when it comes to throwing the football. So if you are in dire need of a quarterback right now, please go ahead and pick you up Jameis Winston off the fantasy wire. Because, listen, nobody cares about interceptions in fantasy, man. Touchdowns are worth like 6 points in a lot of formats. Interceptions only cost you like a point or two, man. So if you do the math, Jameis Winston can throw 4 interceptions and 5 touchdowns, and he still have like 30, 25 points for you. Now, there are going to be some games when the dude might throw more interceptions than touchdowns, but I mean, the dude is still a really good fantasy football option if your back is against the wall like me. Like, I had Jordan Love, and the dude got injured, so I had to go get Justin Fields, and the dude got benched, so I had to start Jordan Love again, and the dude just got injured again. So thankfully enough, I had Jameis Winston on the bench, and I've been holding this dude on the bench since the start of the season. Like, everybody was asking me, like, JT, why do you have Jameis Winston on your bench even though he's not starting over Deshaun Watson? I was like, because I'm crossing my fingers that one day the Cleveland Browns organization can wake up and realize that Deshaun Watson is trash now, and they can bench this dude and start Jameis Winston. Because I always believe that if Jameis Winston got the opportunity to start for the Browns, he would make the most of it, and he would turn their season around. And so far, Jameis Winston has proven me right. Like, if you're a Browns fan, don't give up on the season just yet. Like, I promise you, this brother Jameis Winston is going to give you some really good quarterback play. You haven't gotten quarterback play as good as what Jameis Winston has given you since Baker Mayfield led you to the divisional round of the playoffs a few years ago. Like, this dude is a really decent quarterback. Like, Daniel Jones and Bryce Young got starting jobs, and yet it took Jameis Winston this long to get another opportunity. Come on, man. Come on, bro. I love me some famous Jameis. And I'm an honorary Browns fan for the rest of the year, man, because I love me some Jameis Winston. You can't make me hate Jameis Winston. I'm sorry. That is my boy. That's my favorite player of all time, and you can't make me feel bad about it. I love me some Jameis Winston.